Number 1, the silent hand on your mind. Listen, if you believe no one is trying to control you, you are already under control. Power today doesn't shout, it doesn't threaten. It studies you, it waits. Machiavelli understood a brutal truth most men still refuse to accept. People don't dominate you by force, they dominate you by psychology. And the most obedient slaves are the ones who think they're free. Right now, as you listen to this, there are people in your life who know exactly which emotional buttons to press, which doubts to awaken, which fears to exploit. They don't hate you, they don't love you, they use you. The first dirty trick they rely on is manufactured dependence. They solve a problem for you, then quietly position themselves as the only solution. At first it feels like support, then it feels like relief, then it becomes necessity. Machiavelli warned that the man who controls what you need controls your behavior. Today that need isn't bread or land. It's approval, validation, access, belonging. The moment your peace depends on someone else's reaction, you've surrendered leverage. The second trick is emotional provocation followed by moral judgment. They push you until you react, then label you as unstable, aggressive, or immature. This is psychological warfare. A man defending himself looks guilty when the trap is set correctly. Stoicism teaches restraint not for morality, but for survival. Because the man who reacts emotionally is predictable, and predictability is weakness. The third trick is false moral authority. They frame themselves as righteous, ethical, or just trying to do the right thing. This isn't virtue, it's a shield. Machiavelli knew morality is often used to disarm opposition. When someone claims moral superiority, disagreement turns into shame. You stop speaking, you start doubting, and silence becomes their victory. The fourth trick is controlled inconsistency. They reward you randomly, attention one day, distance the next, praise today, indifference tomorrow. This destabilizes your nervous system. Your mind starts chasing balance. You call it attachment. Psychology calls it conditioning. A stoic man sees patterns. He does not chase chaos. The fifth trick is strategic underestimation. They present themselves as harmless, incompetent, or naive. You lower your guard. Meanwhile, they collect information. Weak men fear obvious threats. Powerful men watch the quiet ones. Machiavelli warned that the fox survives longer than the lion because it understands deception. And the sixth trick, the most lethal, is identity manipulation. They slowly rewrite how you see yourself. That's not you. You're better than this. You're overthinking. Over time, your instincts erode. You outsource judgment. Once a man doubts his own perception, he becomes manageable. Understand this clearly. Modern control is invisible. It operates through guilt, fear of rejection, and the desire to be seen as good. But goodness without awareness is vulnerability. This series is not about turning you into a tyrant, it's about sharpening your awareness so no one can play you, drain you, or dominate you quietly. Power begins the moment you stop assuming good intentions and start reading behavior. Stay with me. The next section will expose how they weaponize your empathy to keep you obedient. And if you're serious about becoming untouchable, like the video, subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications, because what comes next separates controlled men from dangerous ones. Number 2, how they weaponize your empathy. Your empathy is not a virtue in the hands of predators. It is a handle, a lever, a weakness waiting to be pulled. Machiavelli understood something most men learn too late. The qualities that make you human are the same qualities others exploit to control you. The second layer of domination begins when they study your compassion. They notice how you hesitate before saying no, how guilt slows your decisions, how you try to understand everyone, even those who would never do the same for you. The first move is victim positioning. They present themselves as wounded, misunderstood, or unfairly treated. Not because they want healing, but because they want immunity. Once someone becomes the victim, your instincts disarm you. You soften. You excuse behavior you would never tolerate from someone else. Machiavelli warned that appearing weak can be a powerful weapon. A wounded image invites protection, not suspicion. The second move is emotional debt creation. They remind you, subtly or openly, of what they've done for you. Sacrifices, effort. After everything I did, this isn't generosity, it's accounting. And the moment you accept the debt, your freedom shrinks. A stoic man helps without expecting control and receives without surrendering autonomy. Anything else is a trap. The third move is selective vulnerability. They share just enough pain to hook your sympathy, but never enough to expose themselves. This creates imbalance. You open up fully. They remain guarded. You become transparent. They remain unreadable. Information asymmetry is power. Machiavelli would call this strategic exposure, revealing weakness only when it strengthens your position. The fourth move is guilt-based obedience. They frame your boundaries as cruelty, your silence as betrayal, your independence as selfishness. This is psychological pressure disguised as morality. A man who feels guilty for protecting himself will always be controllable. Stoicism teaches a brutal truth. You are not responsible for managing other people's emotions. The fifth move is false alliance. They convince you you're on the same side. Same values, same enemies, same struggles. This creates tribal loyalty, and loyalty, once established, bypasses logic. You defend them automatically. You excuse them instinctively. Machiavelli knew loyalty is most dangerous when it's emotional rather than rational. The sixth and final move is empathy exhaustion. They drain you slowly. Constant problems, endless crises, emotional labor without resolution. Over time, your mind weakens. Decision fatigue sets in. You stop resisting, not because you agree, but because you're tired. That's the goal. A tired man accepts chains he would once reject. Understand this clearly. Empathy without boundaries is self-destruction. Power does not mean cruelty. It means control over access. Who gets your time? Who gets your energy? Who gets your emotional investment? Cold men are not heartless, they are selective. They choose where warmth is earned. Machiavelli never advised eliminating compassion. He advised governing it. Because uncontrolled kindness creates dependency, manipulation, and regret. If this makes you uncomfortable, good. Discomfort is the sound of illusions breaking. In the next part, you'll learn how silence, pauses, and ambiguity are used as psychological weapons against you, and how to turn them back into tools of dominance. If you're serious about mastering power instead of being consumed by it, like the video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications. Awareness is the first shield. Discipline is the second. Number 3, silence, pauses, and the psychology of control. Silence is never empty. Silence is a message. And the one who controls silence controls the emotional temperature of the room. Machiavelli understood that words expose intentions, but silence hides strategy. In modern psychology, silence is one of the most abused tools of domination because it forces the other person to fill the gap with fear, doubt, and over-explanation. The first tactic is strategic withdrawal. They disappear without explanation. Messages slow, responses shorten, eye contact fades. This is not coincidence. It's a pressure test. They want to see how you react when access is removed. Do you chase? Do you apologize? Do you overinvest? The moment you do, they gain leverage. A stoic man observes withdrawal without panic. He does not beg for clarity. He creates options. The second tactic is delayed response conditioning. They wait hours, days, sometimes longer. Not because they're busy, but because delay creates hierarchy. The one who waits feels smaller. The one who delays feels important. Machiavelli knew that making others wait is a subtle assertion of dominance. Time is a resource, and the man who controls it signals status. The third tactic is ambiguous silence. They don't clarify, they don't confirm, they don't deny. This ambiguity keeps your mind working for them. You replay conversations, you analyze tone, you imagine worst-case scenarios. While they do nothing, your mental energy drains. This is psychological occupation. A disciplined mind refuses to fill gaps with fantasy. No data means no conclusion. The fourth tactic is silent punishment. No argument, no confrontation, just emotional coldness, distance, indifference. This is designed to trigger your fear of loss. You start self-correcting. You adjust your behavior to restore warmth. You become obedient without being commanded. Machiavelli would call this bloodless control, domination without conflict. The fifth tactic is controlled unpredictability. Sometimes they're warm, sometimes distant, sometimes present, sometimes absent. This instability keeps you focused on them. Predictability creates comfort. Unpredictability creates fixation. Your attention becomes their asset. Stoic power comes from consistency, not volatility. The sixth tactic is forced disclosure. Your discomfort with silence pushes you to speak. You reveal plans, feelings, weaknesses. They listen. They collect. Information is power. The man who speaks first in uncertainty often speaks against himself. Machiavelli advised rulers to listen more than they speak, not for wisdom, but for advantage. Understand this: silence is not passive, it is active pressure, and if you don't know how to sit inside it, you will always lose. Power is the ability to remain calm when others grow uneasy, to wait without anxiety, to withhold without guilt. This does not make you cold, it makes you sovereign. You are not obligated to respond immediately. You are not required to explain yourself. You are not responsible for filling emotional gaps others create. Once you reclaim silence, you reclaim pace. And the man who controls pace controls outcomes. In the next part, you'll learn how praise, validation, and approval are engineered to manipulate your identity and behavior. If you're ready to stop reacting and start commanding your inner state, like the video, subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications. The quiet man always outlasts the loud one. Number 4, praise, validation, and the engineering of obedience. Praise is never neutral. Validation is never free. When someone rewards you verbally, emotionally, or socially, they are shaping your behavior. Machiavelli understood this long before psychology named it reinforcement. Men do not need chains when they can be trained. The first method is conditional praise. They compliment you only when you act in ways that benefit them. Obedience is rewarded. Independence is ignored. Over time, your nervous system learns the pattern. You start self-adjusting to earn approval. This is not encouragement. It's behavioral programming. A stoic man measures himself by standards he sets, not by reactions he receives. The second method is public validation, private control. They praise you in front of others, then correct or pressure you in private. This creates confusion and loyalty at the same time. You fear losing the public image they helped create. Machiavelli knew public reputation is a weapon. Once someone helps build it, they can threaten to dismantle it. The third method is identity labeling. You're the strong one. You're the reasonable one. You're the loyal one. These sound like compliments, but they are cages. Once labeled, you feel pressure to perform that role, even when it costs you. Identity is the deepest lever of control. Change the story a man tells about himself, and you control his actions. The fourth method is withheld validation. Silence where praise once existed, indifference where warmth once lived. This absence is deliberate. Your mind starts working to recover the reward. You question yourself. You try harder. You become more compliant. Machiavelli would recognize this as scarcity manipulation. Making approval rare increases its value. The fifth method is comparison-based praise. You're not like them. You're better than most people. This isolates you. It separates you from peers. It binds you closer to the one doing the praising. Loyalty deepens through separation. A man cut off from equals becomes dependent on the one who validates him. The sixth method is moral flattery. They praise your goodness, patience, or understanding, especially when those traits benefit them. This is the most dangerous form, because resisting now feels immoral. You're not just disobeying them, you're betraying who you believe you are. Machiavelli warned that virtue, when weaponized, enslaves more effectively than fear. Understand this: approval is a drug, and like all drugs, the dosage increases over time. What once satisfied you eventually controls you. Power begins when praise becomes information, not fuel. You observe who praises you, when they do it, and what behavior it encourages. You don't reject validation, you detach from it. Cold men are not immune to praise because they are arrogant. They are immune because they are internally governed. In the next part, you will learn how fear, threat, and subtle intimidation are used without ever being spoken, and how to become unreachable by them. If you're serious about mastering your inner authority, like the video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications. The man who needs approval is never free. Number 5, fear without words, threats without voice. Fear is most effective when it's never spoken. Machiavelli understood that open threats create resistance, but implied danger creates obedience. Modern control rarely says, "Do this or else." Instead, it lets your imagination do the work. The first method is reputational shadowing. They hint subtly that they have influence, connections, or access to narratives that could harm you. A raised eyebrow, a casual name drop, a story about what happened to someone else. Nothing direct, nothing provable, but your mind fills the gap. Fear grows best in ambiguity. The second method is consequence suggestion. They don't threaten you. They remind you of what you have to lose: status, stability, belonging. It would be a shame if people might misunderstand. This frames obedience as protection. Machiavelli taught that men obey fastest when they believe disobedience invites chaos. The third method is environmental intimidation, positioning themselves physically higher, speaking calmly while you're emotional, bringing allies into the room without warning. Power is staged. The setting does half the work. A stoic man notices atmosphere because atmosphere shapes perception. The fourth method is selective enforcement. Rules apply when it suits them. Boundaries appear only when you cross them. This unpredictability keeps you cautious. You start self-policing to avoid triggering punishment. This is internalized control, the most efficient kind. Machiavelli knew laws are not enforced equally. They are enforced strategically. The fifth method is historical reminder. They casually recall your past mistakes, old failures, moments of weakness, not to resolve them, but to anchor you to them. Fear thrives when a man believes his past defines his future. Stoicism cuts this chain by focusing only on what is within control now. The sixth method, the deepest, is fear of isolation. They suggest, without stating, that resistance means exclusion, being left out, being alone, being misunderstood. Humans fear exile more than pain. Machiavelli knew this. That's why power structures reward conformity before they punish rebellion. Understand this clearly. Fear works only when you believe others control your survival. When your identity, income, reputation, or peace is outsourced, fear has leverage. Power returns the moment you reduce dependencies. Build multiple options, multiple alliances, multiple paths forward. The man with options is unthreatenable. Cold power psychology is not about intimidation, it's about immunity. You don't fight fear head-on, you outgrow it. You make threats irrelevant by making yourself self-contained. Silence replaces explanation. Preparation replaces anxiety. Detachment replaces panic. When fear loses its grip, manipulators lose interest, because predators seek prey, not equals. In the final part, you'll learn how to reverse these tactics, how to project calm dominance, psychological independence, and quiet authority that makes control attempts collapse on contact. If you're ready to step into that state, like the video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications. The unafraid man cannot be ruled. Number 6, becoming untouchable. Power is not aggression, it is absence of need. Machiavelli understood that the most dangerous man in the room is not the loudest, the angriest, or the most feared, but the one who cannot be pressured. Untouchable men are not born. They are constructed through discipline, detachment, and clarity. The first shift is internal authority. You stop outsourcing your self-worth. Praise becomes noise. Criticism becomes data. Silence becomes neutral. When your identity is self-governed, manipulation has no anchor. Stoicism teaches this not as philosophy, but as armor. The second shift is emotional economy. You ration reactions. You choose when to speak, when to engage, when to withdraw. Every response is intentional. Nothing leaks. Machiavelli warned that uncontrolled emotion reveals position. A calm man reveals nothing, and therefore cannot be read. The third shift is option expansion. You build alternatives quietly, financial, social, psychological. When someone senses you have exits, leverage evaporates. Control only works on men who feel trapped. The fourth shift is selective presence. You don't explain absences. You don't announce boundaries. You enforce them through consistency. Access to you becomes earned, not assumed. People respect what they can't casually reach. The fifth shift is narrative sovereignty. You stop defending yourself against false stories. Defense validates the frame. Silence collapses it. Over time, your behavior becomes the only narrative that matters. Machiavelli understood that reputation is shaped more by consistency than explanation. The final shift is cold clarity. You see people as they are, not as you wish them to be. Intent is irrelevant. Pattern is everything. Once you read patterns, control attempts become visible, and therefore useless. This is not cruelty. This is realism, and realism is power. When you reach this state, something changes. Manipulators disengage. Chaos avoids you. Drama dissolves. Not because you dominate others, but because you dominate yourself. That is the highest form of power. Remember this. The world does not reward goodness. It rewards awareness. And awareness, once sharpened, makes you untouchable. If this series gave you clarity, like the video, subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications. Power favors the prepared, and now you are no longer blind.